So they are going to start increasing the amount of money that you need to put into DTC. And essentially, this comes back to why would they be preparing for something catastrophic if it wasn't going to happen? It was me, Andrew, all along. Can we do a quick summary on 005? This is exactly what you guys are here for, and that's why we're going to jump straight on in. NSCC 2021-005 has been signed today. Implementation no later than 20 business days. Apes, a crucial regulatory ruling has just been signed by the DTC and will be implemented no later than 20 business days. And if you guys think it takes 20 business days for this YouTube to pick off on the YouTube algorithm, no, heck no. It takes much less time than that. All you need to do is to smash that like to be able to help other Spoon Platoon, I said it again, other Spoon Platoon members to find this video. And here we go, spoons and scissors in the chat. Watch until the end. That means May 24th is the last day this could be passed if we are counting the countdown from tomorrow for 27. The DTCC is basically covering their own butts with this ruling, but the good news is that this means the squazazzle is imminent. I am inevitable. Giving the DTC as part of the NSCC, right? The NSCC as part of the DTC is going to start snapping their fingers to the beat of liquidating some hedge funds. 2 Ape did not read. This increases minimum fund deposit requirements for each member from 10K to 250K in cash. This is to mitigate the risks NSCC, or, the DTCC, is exposed to when members get liquidated because of defaulting margin call. In other words, NSCC is requiring every member to throw in 250,000 in cash to cover for member defaults. This is an easy way to explain this. For example, let's say that let's say that I have money. That's me. And let's say that you have money. And that's you. But each time we do business, we might make it a little bit risky. And so the risk here could be greater than the amount of money that the two of us have combined, which is why now we need to start a cartel. We need to start the largest money cartel possible, which is also called the DTCC. Let's see now. Alexander K, how's it going? So we have our money going into a big pool, and it's called the DTCC, so that we can fight against the risk of not having enough money to deal with something terrible happening, like a short squeeze, for example, or a financial crisis. We put all of this money into a big pot, and now originally it was at only $10,000 for minimum fund deposit requirements for each member, right? And now it changed up the game. Essentially, we are starting to realize that the risk here is getting astronomical. This risk is starting to get mucho dollar signs because people are starting to read the DD, look at the everything short, and start to realize that this is an untenable amount of risk. So they are going to start increasing the amount of money that you need to put into DTC. And essentially, this comes back to why would they be preparing for something catastrophic if it wasn't going to happen? Why would you start planning the funeral for your risky uncle who has a bad gambling debt, Melvin Citadel, if the DTC, which is the household piggy bank, isn't gearing up for something very bad? So back to this article real quick. Medium D speaks. I'll cover your super in just a second. Okay, addendum. NSCC can look at members' portfolios and decide if the required fund deposit amount needs to reflect the risk. Remember that we have been looking at 003, 004, 005, which is NSCC 005. Don't confuse that for any other 005, and 801, which also has no CC 801 and a DTC 801. So as a reminder, there are a lot of rules, but essentially, one, who's the risky uncle in the house? We're not quite sure until we look at all of your risky portfolios. Number two, if it's too risky or if we found that you've lied to us, you are going to have to start paying significantly more, or even be margin called by us right away. Or three, we are now going to make everybody have more money overall. This makes it difficult for everybody to turn away and start preparing for the margin call, because it essentially means give us money now. Well, if you don't have that money, it needs to be liquidated from your other assets. It's a mini margin call because of the amount of money that now is needed as a minimum deposit. It's 20 days after the commission approves it. Sorry, just learned to read last week. So it's 20 days after the SEC approves it, and it has not yet approved it. So we still have a good amount of time, but we now at least have a timeline. So here is from the text verbatim. The NSCC believes the proposed changes are designed to assure the safeguarding of securities and funds which are in its custody or control of or for which it is responsible, because they are designed to enable NSCC to require the necessary margin for members who maintain a minimum required fund deposit to limit its exposure to such members in the event of a member default. Essentially, look at that risky pile. It's getting bigger. We need you to add more money to our piggy bank just in case something terrible happens. Having adequate margin for such members would help ensure that NSCC does not need to use its own resources or the eligible clearing fund securities and funds of non-defaulting members to cover losses in the event of a default of such members. This is kind of like a strong-armed racketeering, like nice little NSCC you got here. Would be a shame if we had to use our own money or hurt the people that didn't cheat just to protect the risky uncles. Essentially, the risky uncles have a bad gambling problem, and if they default, we're going to have to use the money from the non-defaulting, non-risky uncles, the nice uncles that play backgammon and stuff, right? We are looking at a would be a shame if something happened to us, now give us more money attitude from the NSCC right now. Specifically, the proposed rule change seeks to remedy potential situations that are described above where NSCC could be under-margined by ensuring that the members can maintain the minimum required fund deposit amount are adequately covering NSCC's risk of loss. NSCC would be reducing the risk of losses, great. By feeding the NSCC would be fed, which would need to be addressed by using non-defaulting member securities or funds or NSCC funds. So this is the same sentence as the sentence prior to this one, which is saying we don't want to use our own money. You guys got to give us more money, because right now the risks that you guys are building slowly every day is getting bigger and bigger. In addition, by requiring that members pay an amount equal to the minimum required fund deposit amount in cash, NSCC would be making available additional collateral that is easier to access upon a member's default. They keep saying default, default, default. That is the death of a hedge fund. We've seen different NSCC, DTC, OCC regulations about how to liquidate and just take apart a defaulting member. And this is, once again, the funeral of that risky uncle. The Melvins and the Citadels that have been hurting the entire financial system. DTC is getting fed up. Holy smokes, just check out the NSCC members directory. There are 3,400 members. As a reminder, guys, DTC is essentially every single broker you have ever seen, and NSCC is just an arm of it. That is a little bit of back of the envelope math here, $860 million. This is just from the members putting in more money, not counting all the assets short positioned hedgies have. So a lot more money in the pile. It gets better. NSCC does test that calculate the members' risks by analyzing their portfolio. Each member's required fund deposit would continue to be calculated with the same parameters and at the same confidence level for each member. Therefore, members that present similar risk, regardless of the type of member, would have similar impacts on their required fund deposit amounts. So this is now basically clustering risky uncles together and saying, you guys are risky. I'm watching you. I think this means NSCC can increase the minimum fund if their portfolio resembles Bill Huang. He is the twice guilty, at least one time guilty Archegos man who went out and just got margin called again after being guilty of a bunch of other criminal stuff. The increase in the minimum required fund deposit would be in relation to the credit, blah, blah, blah. We just read this, and this is the actual text itself. Thank you to this user. user Creekfest for Crackfest for this DD. Give him a big upvote. And again, if you guys found this video helpful, look at this new Patreon scrolling thingy video. Isn't that cool? If you guys want to support the show, then make sure to join the Moon Platoon down below with the join button or the Patreon link, and Professor Meatball and I will see you in the money. Peace.